Happy St. Patrick's Day, Dracut, and welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, March 17th, 2021, and this is What's Happening Dracut. I'm John Zimini. I'm your host for tonight's show, and we look forward to an exciting show. We are coming to you live from our awesome studios here at DATV, Dracut Access Television. I have been a resident of Dracut for more than 20 years and a community activist and public servant, also a political junkie for more than 58 years. I am a three-term former Dracut selectman, having served Dracut for 9 years. By the way, I topped the ticket 3 times there, guys. I just want to make sure you know that. Not to pat myself on the back or anything, but you know I did it that way. I am a retired state employee. I was also a member of the Dracut Finance Committee before I was on the Board of Selectmen, and I also served on the Dracut Cable Advisory Committee, which negotiates the contract for Comcast. So, we hope to keep this show politically moving fast and politically honest, and give you a perspective that gives you where you won't get anywhere else. So the conversation should be interesting, fast-paced, and stimulating. Tonight, I'd like to introduce our co-host. Phil Thibault is off tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because he is where he should be. He's at a committee meeting called NEMCOG. It's a committee of all kinds of the different municipalities that get together every couple of weeks or months, and they go over what's best for the area. He is obviously doing what he thinks is most important, not being on our show tonight and serving the community. We also have Gordy Scott, our man with the computer. He's our expert and resident computer engineer, right, Gordy?
Correct.
You're the man. You're the
yes,
man.
Thank you.
And you're off hours. You work as a referee with
basketball referee, and the season's over, so thank God that's over.
And how did Dracut do?
Dracut won the small division, Merrimack Valley small division. Congratulations! Right. And that was on the boys' side. The girls came in second. They were runner-up, but they gave Tewksbury a good run.
That's awesome.
It was good.
But you also dabbled in some coaching, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
That's awesome.
Coached. My wife made me retired 2 years ago, but I really enjoyed it. Loved working with the kids. I was also on the rec board for 8 years. That was very satisfying. I got to make a lot of changes in how things work in the town and around the kids and the recreation board. So that was good. As you know, the skateboard park, which was a big thing back a few years ago.
That's Joe DeRocco's monument to nothing.
Yes.
Nobody's ever in it.
Yeah, no, there's no.
We can get into that too. That's what Joe DeRocco and his buddies did for the town.
But I'm excited about our next guest.
I am too.
Our co-host.
We have with us tonight the famous John Mcdonough. I'm so happy to have him with us tonight. John is a producer of a long-standing cable show in Lowell called City Life. And he's here tonight. The show has had a little bit of controversy recently, and we're going to get to him in a moment and talk about that. But he's a businessman in lovely Lowell, as John likes to say.
That's exactly right.
And that's he owns and operates Mcdonough Funeral Home. He is also very, very active in community affairs and politics and what have you in Dracut. And he also had a radio show, which we can get into a little bit. But I just wanted to tell you a little bit about What's Happening Dracut for those of you that don't know. What's Happening Dracut is a talk show magazine that will bring interesting topics with occasional guests like John, along with stimulating conversation. The discussion and debate will be aimed at trying to keep voters, taxpayers, rent payers, and businesses in Dracut and the surrounding area informed as to what's happening in our area. We come to you direct from Dracut Access Television, here located on Mill Street in Dracut. We stream live on Facebook, and now we are streaming live on
YouTube.
Tell us about that, Gordy.
Yes, so we're live on YouTube now. So if you haven't checked us out on YouTube, a lot of people got back to me and said, "Hey, I like to watch the TV on my smart TV."
Yep.
And I can't always get if they're not a cable subscriber, they've cut the cord and they want to watch us. So we're now on YouTube, so you can watch us on YouTube. And don't forget, if you do watch us on YouTube, if you don't have an account, sign up with an account, become a follower of ours, and remember to like our videos when they're up there. We're also going to bring you special reports, John and I, live that you won't see here on TV. So we're going to post those to both our Facebook and YouTube pages, so don't miss that at all.
That's excellent, Gordy. But we're also streaming live on the internet via dracuttelevision.org, or you can get us, if you live in Dracut and you have Comcast, you can get us on Comcast TV Channel 8. If you have any questions or requests for interesting stories to be looked at by us, you can email us at what'shappeningdracut at gmail.com. I had a little Biden moment there. And tonight you can join us in the conversation by calling in live at 978-957-4243. But before we get into our conversation with John and Gordy and the rest of our show, we have with us tonight, we are happy to have with us our resident weatherman, Sean Kelly. He does a great job. He's from Mill City Weather with the extended forecast for our area.
Give us some warm weather, please, Sean.
Come on, Sean, take it away.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me again tonight. And here's a look at the forecast for tonight at least. 36 degrees are going to drop down into, so low to mid 30s for the Merrimack Valley tonight. Some locations in the low 30s as we head through the night tonight. Clouds are going to be with us, mostly cloudy. Winds won't be that bad, 5 to 10 miles an hour. As we head into your Thursday, it will be mostly cloudy. We will start off with some sun in the morning, and the clouds will take over, especially as we head into the afternoon hours. And it will be mostly cloudy through the day. But again, temps now not going to be that bad either. 57 degrees for a high temp. Some locations in the Merrimack Valley might even hit 60 degrees as we head through the day on Thursday. However, that's going to change as we head into Thursday night. And here is a look at Thursday night. We're going to drop it down into 35 degrees. However, it is going to drop into the 30s and low 30s as we head into Thursday night. So we will start off as some rain. Light rain will take over the area through the overnight hours. And then as we head into the overnight and into Friday morning, we will change over to snow on the back end. So there could be some minor accumulations. Right now, it does look like there would be minor accumulations in the higher elevations of central Mass and Worcester County, even into the Merrimack Valley too. Again, could be between 1 and 3 inches of snow. So we're going to have to watch that and see how that plays out as we head into Friday. So keep that in mind as we do head into a Friday. So here's a look at your exclusive 8-day forecast. Wednesday, sun and clouds. Thursday again, clouds are going to start to take over, changing over to rain and then over to snow as we head to Friday morning. And then Friday afternoon, hopefully we'll get into some sun through the second part of the day later on in Friday afternoon. Saturday and Sunday looks very sunny right now with temps near 60 degrees as we head to Sunday. And then next week, we're going to be back into the 60s once again heading through the week. And that's it for now, everyone. Back to you guys in the studio.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that report. What did you think of that, Johnny? Huh? We got a resident weatherman.
Sean's good. Sean's great. My sons follow Sean. Sean has the most accurate forecast out there.
Of anywhere. You know he works for
Channel 7.
Channel 7.
Yeah.
He does a great job for them. He does a lot of their graphics and what have you. And the kid is really tremendous.
Amazing man. Amazing man.
I wish him all of the best and everything that he can do, you know. We can change these two screens in here, these two televisions inside so that we can see what's going on in the studio anytime, Nate. We got people watching us on Facebook. We got a lot of people that like to watch in all the different mediums, and we got Joey Big O's out there, and he hosts along with Richard Silvio, the Big O's and Silvio political talk show, and it's for a younger generation. It's Joey is a 19-year-old. He goes to college at Southern New Hampshire, and Richard is a junior in high school.
So they do that show here?
They do. They tape it here.
What day do they telecast?
Usually Fridays.
Yeah.
Fridays. They were live this week.
Yeah.
And while they were
So Friday
live,
same time, 7 p.m.?
No, they're at 4. I think
Yeah,
4 o'clock.
4, yeah.
4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
But they were live, and they had a couple phone calls that had to be beeped. John has some experience with that. But let me get into
You
a
can't
couple.
do that with live TV.
Hey, no, you can't.
Can't do that with live TV.
They quickly
Cut them off.
took it off, and that when it was going south, they could tell it was going south, and they took it off. And the people our guys, our stellar people that are working in the booth, did a great job of getting it off, and then they edited it out so they could,
Yeah, it's easy to edit once you know it's there.
Yeah. We have other people watching. Excuse me. Ryan LaBeouf is watching tonight. Cheryl Gordon. We got Sue Noel. She's watching too. My good friend Linda and Mike Stefanowitz. today we had some very bad news from a family friend of ours, and we send our prayers to that family whose mother is not doing well, and we say prayers for a good result. We also have other people looking tonight. Richard Silvio was with us, and he had to go out. He's going out to have, I think, corned beef and cabbage tonight. So, we have school committee person Betsy Murphy watching tonight, which we have a special report with Betsy.
Well, she's sunsetting her career in
Yes,
Dracut
and she,
politics.
by the way, we had an interview today. with
Lovely
Betsy.
gal.
She said to make sure I say hello to John.
Yeah, I always like Betsy.
She's a
Great
lovely
gal. Where is she
woman.
moving to?
Florida. She's
Wow,
moving
nice and
to
warm
the
down there.
Sunshine
Nice
State.
and toasty.
So, John, we brought you on the show because you have had me on the show, on your show in City Life, for many, many times, many, many years, which I enjoy, and I'm hoping to do it again real soon. But you had a little mishap, and I don't mean to lessen it, because the gentleman that misspoke in my view and made comments that were not good and should not ever be condoned, and they weren't, was way out of line in how he said it and what he said, and we absolutely condemn any kind of hate speech, any kind of racial hate speech, or anti-Semitic speech. But the end result was that you had a problem too as a producer of the show. Why don't you give us a little bit of background?
Okay, John, you've been there a ton of times. Gordy, you've been there a few times.
Yep.
First of all, I want to thank my wife, Ellen, for letting me do this show every day out of the house. So, honey, thanks very much. So, as a producer, you sit there, make sure you got your audio, you make sure the cameras are locked down, you make sure everything's in focus, and once everything looks hunky-dory, you're good. You just sit back and enjoy the program as if you were a viewer. So I'm doing the show like normal, and I start to get text messages like John gets on his phone here that there's helicopters flying over my house.
That's a little suspicious, John.
I take my earbud out, and I can hear helicopters, son of a gun. So the guys are doing good. I got Anthus, I got Hoey. They've been on the show a bazillion times, not worried. They'll keep the ball rolling, so I exit the studio. Walking, I walk through my house, out the kitchen door, and sure enough, look up, there's a helicopter. In fact, there's 3 of them. So, wow, something must be going on. But they're not like looking at my property, they're just over my property, looking towards Centerville. So I go back in, and a texter asked me, can I move the funeral home's webcam to capture the smoke from the fire in downtown Lowell? So now I know, okay.
Yep.
I go back outside, and I'm trying to look at an insignia on a helicopter to see which news feed I can watch, because they all put it up on the internet. And so I see Channel 10's logo. I go back in. The show's going on all the time. I go back in there. Anthus is talking. Hoey's talking. Everybody's happy. So I'm trying to find some video to show the viewers of the fire in downtown Lowell. Grab it off 4 or 5. But Channel 10 was the helicopter I was looking at. I knew they were up there live. So I'm watching Channel 10 News, and it never came on. So that's okay. The show goes on. Show ends. Everybody goes home. I get up at 4:15, 4:30 in the morning. So I cheat and have a nap every day. I usually get in bed 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I get up for supper time. So my phone rings, ruining my nap. And a guy on the phone says, hey, what did Hoey just say? I said, I don't know. I don't have the show on. I was having my nap.
Yep.
What's he talking about? And he told me what he thought he said. And I said, didn't hear it. Sorry, I did not hear it, didn't know he said that. And that's the story.
Right.
I had no idea. It's my responsibility as a producer. If you produce a show here in Dracut or wherever you might do, everything that happens on your show is your responsibility.
Right.
So even though my friends tell me, well, you can't control what comes out of people's mouths.
No, you can't.
You can't. But I should have known, he said it, to cancel the show in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But I was completely ignorant of the whole thing. So had a little chit-chat via Zoom with the president of LTC. I think her name is Jessica Donaldson. Mm-hmm. And one of the other board members, his name is Eric Sack. And had a little chit-chat, well, what happened, blah, 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 blah. So then I get
so the whole thing blew up all over the place.
I got a text or whatever, and that they're going to have an emergency meeting. I had to go to this emergency meeting. And so I go, and it's a Zoom thing. It's like it's hard to go to. You just turn your computer on and go to the Zoom meeting. And she said, show's off for 90 days.
Wow.
My answer was, I understand. Because there's no argument. And it's their TV station. They can do whatever the heck they want. So.
Well, that's where I disagree with you. But because free speech is still free speech. We may not like what the free speech is. We may not like what they say. But to take you off the air, in my opinion, was an abomination. They shouldn't have done that. Admonish whatever has to happen to admonish the person that said it. It's like I started to tell you earlier. The Bigos and Silvio show had a woman come on and made some very vulgar comments to one of the hosts, and it went over the air. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no 30-second, 10-second, 5-second delay here. It's not like it's FCC regulated to that. But action was taken. They immediately said, and you would have, John, if you were sitting there, immediately admonished that word.
Yeah.
I know you would have.
Shouldn't have happened. Yep.
And the bottom line was, I know that the co-host was there, Anthus, who was, I'm sure, it's not easy being a host. You're thinking about what the next subject is going to be and what the next question is going to be. Sometimes you're not hearing what the people are saying. The provocative stuff that might come out of their mouth.
And a lot of the younger generation, I don't believe, know what that word is or what it means either.
No,
so.
they don't. But
it's tantamount to paying attention to what Sean Kelly was going to say about weather.
Correct.
Okay, throw it to Sean. Okay, now you can sit back, well,
yeah, I don't
so how's things down the beach or whatever? And we're really not listening.
No, we're getting ready for the next step up.
Right.
But long story longer, and we know what happened there, and we know you took the punishment a lot easier than I would have taken the punishment because you are who you are, right?
Well,
so the bottom line is, I want to know, where do you go from here? Because you're going to come back, right?
Yeah, right now, we had a little sit down with all the talent that was interested to continue. And I said, well, what do you want to do? And they said they want to go to YouTube like you guys are doing. So I'm leaning towards Facebook. And guess what? It's my show, so we're probably going to do Facebook Live. And that's going to be, my target date is April 5th. Because Passover starts, I believe, April 4th. Easter Sunday's April 4th. So I figured, out of respect for my Jewish friends and my Christian friends, to hold off till Lent's over with it, and Passover starts, and go on from there. And if at the end of 90 days, which I believe is in April or May, I didn't really do the count of it all. So let's see, February, March, April, May. So the end of May, so I'd say end of May, beginning part of June, we'll see if LTC sticks with their word. See, my difficulty with LTC was, LTC took the signal from my house and sent it out to Delightful Dracut, Tewksbury, Tingsboro, Pelham, sends it to all these places, but it's fed off of LTC. So when LTC cut my cable, Suburbia was gone too.
Right.
Suburbia, Dracut amongst them, Dracut's actually the leader. By the way, Dracut Access Television, you guys don't realize how good you have it here. And I know that the selectmen out there say, oh, it's terrible. You know what? I invite you tomorrow to go down to LTC and knock on the door. I don't think you can get in. I invite you to call LTC tomorrow, and it's going to go to voicemail. Hello, your call is so important to us. We haven't answered the phone.
Really? They're not down there, obviously.
Working remotely.
They're working remotely.
So here, you guys have activity. You kept the thing going through all. I don't know what you guys did during the hot season of COVID.
We've done all the protocols. We're sitting socially distanced. We're 6 feet apart. We wear the mask. We're walking around in the studios out here. And our staff, as you saw when you came in, they all had masks on.
That's why we didn't kiss.
That's right.
I understand.
And we also, we regularly clean. We have a cleaning facility come in and do the regular cleaning, and the staff cleans constantly. So we've had no problems whatsoever down here. And we were out for a while when it first happened, and then we slowly brought people back, and now we've been fully up for most of the part.
But you should pat yourself on the back, because contrasting to other local access telemedia centers, whatever you want to call this, by the way, it's a magnificent studio you guys put together here. I was just always been in puzzlement how some public access centers just
Well,
sign on the door.
it should puzzle you, and it should puzzle you also, and you said it briefly, about you don't understand what the controversy is. Well, the controversy isn't about anything that's bad down here. The controversy is about personalities. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'm speaking as John Zimini and nothing else. I am on the board at DATV, but I'm not speaking when I'm on this show as a board member. I'm speaking as John Zimini. And I have free rights, free speech rights. And nobody's going to take that stuff away from me at any point in time. And of course, we also have the disclaimer in the front of the show and in the back of the show that this show is, the opinions are those of who are on
speaks
this,
them, yeah.
who speaks them. So nobody's going to stop us from having free speech. That's what public access is all about. The bottom line is we have one selectman who didn't like this show and another show that we were on.
Used to be
He
on.
used to be on, and they didn't like the show, and he didn't like pushback from them. And Joe DeRocco has made it a personal vendetta against John Zimini, Phil Thibault, and Tammy Dristeleris, who are all members of the board, and he's pointing the finger at Dracut Access as being a bad place. There's nothing wrong here at DATV.
John, administration for town, city, state, county, they hate the media.
Of course.
I can remember a while back, the former big courthouse, the Middlesex Superior Courthouse, was right down the corner of my street since before I was born. Well, they stopped cutting the grass. We're not going to bother cutting the grass. So it's growing and growing and growing. So I just went down with my camera, took a bunch of pictures of the grass growing, and during a break, I would run it on a slideshow. Here's how they keep the grass at the county courthouse. Well, I get a phone call from of course, they never call me. They call one of my workplaces, complain, like, who does he think he is putting a picture of our grass? Why don't you cut the grass? Well, lawnmower's broken. They had all these wonderful excuses, but nothing ever happened until I started to put the pictures on television.
Exactly.
Once I started to put the pictures on television, whoa.
Yeah,
They cut that grass.
Yeah, they don't want it. It's the same way with political activity in town, right? These people that get involved in campaigns, they want to run the campaigns, they want to make the kings, they want to get people elected
And
into
once they
positions
get in there,
to try to control them. But when you point out what they're doing and what they're doing wrong, oh, I'm a private citizen. I can't, you can't attack me, I'm a private citizen. Oh, you can attack me as a candidate and as a person, but I can't go back at you? Are you serious?
My understanding, elected officials are public
Right,
figures.
right.
So you can ridicule them, you can pick on them, you can do pretty much
Just can't lie
whatever
about it,
you
that's all.
like about the person. You can opinionate them like, geez, Gordy, you losing weight?
Right.
And your wife will say, yeah, right.
She's watching, by the way. Hi, Jen. We got to say hello to Jennifer Scott, and we got a couple other people out here watching. Kelly Smith, Lisa is out there watching. Linda Swartz. We got Linda Conley. We got a bunch of people out there watching, but we're going to try to move on now, okay, Johnny? We're going to
Okay.
get into the meat
Move
of what
right
we have.
along.
All right. So tonight we're going to talk a lot about Dracut politics and about Dracut, the upcoming election. And folks, by the way, Gordy, right? We are going to be going weekly, beginning
Yes.
next week.
Yes.
We're going to start going weekly next week, and we're going to pick apart each race as we go along and talk about it.
Because there is quite a few races out there.
There's quite a few races this year, and there's a lot of news breaking in Dracut, so we want to keep on top of it. And we're going to
What about going to 2 hours?
John, we have talked about that. We need to go at least maybe an hour and a half.
Because you guys, I'll criticize you after the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll give you a few little critique marks.
Yeah.
But we're 33 minutes into the show.
Oh, yeah. Imagine that. It's already gone. So when I took out papers, Gordy, for the position of the most obscure position in town, Dracut Water District moderator for their town meeting, which
Now,
is
can you
once a
explain
year.
what that is? Because most people don't even know what that Dracut Water moderator does.
It's a non-policy making position that is one meeting a year, and you run the meeting for the budget and for anything that's proposed for the year for the board to do.
No, but you had a concern, I remember on our show previously.
Yeah, that was something about the water, about water for the Richardson project,
Right.
Which we got into, and by the way, they did what I asked, or what was
They did
being
the right
proposed.
thing.
They did the right thing and went ahead and changed what they were doing.
Back to John's
lowered
point, where when you bring it up to
right,
light,
right,
then-
exactly.
They don't like publicity.
But that isn't why I'm running. I wasn't running for that. I was running because it was a position I knew was open. I knew the gentleman, there was rumor that the gentleman in it, by the way, Peter Nazios, who's a great guy. I would not have run if Peter was running. And I did have a nice conversation with Peter, which I'll get into later. But he wasn't running, and I said, I'm going to run for the position. It's something to do. And you know what? I got the blessing of the missus. The water department said, yeah, okay, it's not that political.
You could have worded
And
that
I looked
better,
at her,
John.
And I looked at her, I said, you're serious, right? It's not political? I said, I'm going to take the papers out and you watch what happens, okay? Because she wouldn't let me run for selectman. You know why? Because she knows they try to rip you apart when if you run against Joe DeRocco. So anyways, I took the papers out, but Phil took them out first in the morning, and then I went later in the day, and I wasn't out of the parking lot, and that information was already over to Town Hall West and the good old boys, and the wheels
All
were
of a
spinning.
sudden, now 2 other people are running.
So 2 other people are running for the same seat. And,
They
you
pulled
know,
papers after you?
They did. And I have the proof, folks, much to the chagrin of the newspaper who put in their column, as usual, John. We know they don't get anything right in that newspaper.
Well, they like to make stuff.
They make it all up. So there's certain people I won't talk to. But here's the sheet right here. I know you can't see it, but I have it, and at some point I'll post it online. And John Zimini was the first one to pull out the papers. The second person to pull out papers was George Bogue. And we know where that name comes from, don't we,
Yes.
Gordy?
Yes.
Where's that name come from,
From
Gordy?
another TV show that we used to be on.
Yeah, and who do you think is behind George pulling papers out to go around?
007.
Mr. Bombed.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what he's doing, is bombing. But I don't want to get Johnny in the middle of that one. And then we have...
Well, I happen to like everybody.
Yeah,
so.
I know you do. I know you do. You've got a personality that's tremendous, right? And the third candidate is Dave Martin. Now, Dave Martin is a former firefighter, retired. He's a contractor in town. In fact, he's done some work at my house. Great guy, nice guy. I don't have any access to grind with him, except I think he's doing this as political revenge because he's best friends with Joe DeRocco. And that's really a shame, because that's not what we should be running for, to stop somebody else from running or winning or whatever you want to call it. But we'll run the races we see best, and we'll go forward with it. So let's talk a little bit about the Dracut Selectman race. This is going to be Phil Thibault's 5th time, I think, or 6th time running?
6th, I believe.
6th.
Yep.
Okay. And in recent years, he's come closer and closer. Particularly the last time he ran against Joe, he was within 300 votes. And there was another candidate in that race. And who was that candidate? Johnny Joyce. And Johnny Joyce took some negative,
He got a couple hundred votes.
he got over 300 votes.
Yeah.
He did. And that obviously pulled away from Phil. And when you have a one-on-one, the incumbent always has the advantage if there's another candidate in there, because there are people that don't like the other candidate that won't vote for you, or don't like you and will vote for him, or whatever. And some people just don't vote. They just blank, right? So
Yep.
this guy, this time, I think they're focusing more on the hatred they had for John Zimini, and there's no third candidate in the race. I was like ecstatic on Friday when the bell rang at 4:30 or 5 o'clock when there was no third candidate in that race for selectman. So now Phil has a clear one-on-one, and I think the stars are lining up. There's enough things that Joe DeRocco has done in 15 years to steam people off enough to maybe say, enough is enough. The guy hasn't done anything for the town of Dracut. He's done nothing positive for the town of Dracut but cost us money and stopped projects because he didn't think they were his projects.
Well, John, how long since the Dracut Dispatch went out of business?
Oh, God. Been a while. Long time.
And now you get part-time coverage from a newspaper that likes to make up stories. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of my friend Gary Frascarelli, the newsman at WCAP.
Right.
He'll admit he makes up the news. I'm going to go make up the news.
Wow. Did he really?
That's
it. That's it. So those stars are all lined up. I think this is going to be a very different year, and we can't wait to get Phil back on here and start grilling him on what he's going to do. But the second big race is the school committee race. We're going to get more into these races as we go along. Starting next week, we'll take one race and we'll really analyze it and see where we want to throw some bombs out there, right?
Right.
So, but the school committee race, Sue Gufagafis is not running for re-election. For whatever reason, she sought not to run.
You just got to pronounce her name correctly, and now she's stepping back.
Did I? I did. Gufagafis.
Well, but
No, you
how
said you
dare
just
she?
learned how to say it.
I just learned.
How dare she step back now that everybody can say her name?
I know. I hope I pronounced it right. But Sue, we would like to get you to come on our show and talk about your experience and what have you. In fact, we had an interview with Betsy Murphy this afternoon that I think went very well, and we have a little snippet, and if Nate can throw that up right now, this might be the appropriate time to show you a little preview. We're going to do some editing to it, and we're going to add pieces of it to our next show and maybe a little bit more. So Nate, if you can run that little piece that we had done this afternoon. Sneak preview. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What's Happening Dracut, special edition here. Today I've had the opportunity to interview Betsy Murphy, Betsy Lurvy Murphy, who is a member of our school committee. And before I get into some of the questioning and we start conversing here, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how this interview came about. Because Betsy and I had been somewhat estranged over the last few years, but we had been friends, and we had been adversaries on issues and what have you on a few things, but mostly we have a certain level of respect for each other. And when I heard that she was leaving, I was saddened because she is obviously a very good part of the community and does well for the children, and I said some nice things on our show.
You did. They were lovely.
And she reached out to me.
I did.
To say thank you.
I did.
And that began a whole mountain of emotions that came out.
It started with, let's get together for coffee and talk through some things. And I think 3 hours later,
3 hours.
3 hours later, we said, oh, maybe we should go move on with the rest of the things we need to do respectively with our day.
This is,
Yep.
that was, I do a lot of coffee talk, as you know. We do a lot of coffee stuff. And, but that was one of the most enlightening and, what's the word I'm looking for? Relieving 3 hours I had, because we found each other as people and as friends.
Yep.
Right?
It was very genuine, and I really appreciated
And you know, issues
the conversation immensely.
Yeah, it meant the world to me too. And we had a little bit of emotion going on back and forth, both of us, and it's good because the political stuff tends to always get us in trouble with people because we don't understand why people are doing the things we do in politics. So Betsy, tell us who Betsy Lurvy Murphy is and where did it all begin?
Well, Lurvy is my maiden name, obviously, and my father and his brothers grew up on a farm here in Dracut. My grandparents were Alice and Draper Lurvy, and the current Lincoln Lane was the land that they owned, that was their farm. chicken farm, which I can't even imagine. My father has many a horror story about having to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to feed the chickens before he went to school. And my brothers and my family and I, every Thanksgiving was at my grandparents' house, and school vacations, and my grandmother, I have some wonderful memories of her cutting flowers out of her garden and teaching me how to make apple pie. And the town really is so important to me because of the legacy of my family. My dad, when he was in high school, became the youth minister at what was the Hillside Church. That church eventually merged with what you would know as the Yellow Meeting House Church. That's the only one that I remember, but I go to church with my grandmother. And
which is a landmark.
It absolutely is. My dad, I get a chuckle out of this, when he was the youth minister, when he was in high school, and also in college, because he went to Lowell State. He commuted to Lowell State, and some of the people in his youth group were the children of Nancy Shaw, including one Warren Shaw.
Okay.
So I like to tease Warren once in a while that my father tried to save his soul.
Well, we all need a little bit of that, for sure. Yeah.
Really, and just that's a lovely family too. Mrs. Shaw is just one of the nicest people I've ever met, really. My grandmother's maiden name was White, and her brother was a police officer in town, and her father, my great-grandfather, was a pillar of that church. Actually, a little funny anecdote, at least I think it's funny. When I met my husband, who was raised here in Dracut, and he brought me to meet his parents when we were getting serious. My father-in-law, who was a firefighter in town forever, and also an adjunct police officer, he asked me my maiden name, and then I essentially told him the history of my family as I just told you.
Right.
And he said, White? That Arthur White? I said, yeah, he was my great uncle. He said, he was a police officer in town. He put up roadblocks to stop drunk people before people even did that. All of a sudden I was like in. I'm like, this is awesome. This is wonderful. So I married Michael in that yellow church because the church, the town, the history of my family just means so much to me. My children were baptized there. It means a lot.
A lot of good memories.
Absolutely.
There. Well, I got to tell you, folks, that that was a very good sampling of how that interview went from start to finish. We sat down for about 35 minutes, and there are some very emotional moments in there. You got to watch it. There's some for both of us, because we've had, like I said during that interview, we've had some estranged times between her and I, and it's mostly political stuff that ends up being personal, and unfortunately that's what happens when you're in politics, and it's a rough game, but it's really particularly rough, and we talk about it in Dracut. It's particularly rough in Dracut in a lot of ways, but you'll see more of that in the very near future. But getting back to what we were talking about here in the Dracut School Committee, the race for Dracut School Committee has heated up because we have Joe Wilkie, who was rumored to not be a candidate. Did you hear that rumor also?
Yeah, I
at some
did hear
point?
that. Yep.
So he's in the race, and he is an outstanding member of the school committee, very dedicated to the kids. And if you're on the school committee, you got to be. And again, he and I have had some differences on different things going forward, particularly to the schools, but we've always worked them out and tried to be professional about it. But he's doing his heart's in the right place, as is Betsy Murphy's and Sue's and the rest of that board. So he's running for re-election, and I think he'll be a presumptive favorite to win that race again for a fourth term, I think it is. We also have Jill Armano. You know Jill Armano? Have you heard that?
I've heard the name, but I don't know who she is.
Well, John, Jill Armano's husband ran for senator, I believe, against Feingold in the Democratic primary, I believe.
What was Joe Espinola? Republican?
Joe Espinola ran as the Republican.
Okay.
So, so Jill Armano is a very, very well-spoken, I believe she's an attorney. She has young school-age children, and she'll be a very formidable candidate. She's someone to look out for in this race, and we will try to get her on this show also. There's another politically unknown, I don't know this woman at all, and I don't know if anybody else here does, Rosemary Espinel. No relation to the former superintendent of schools. It's pronounced differently. And also Rebecca Duda.
Yes.
Now, you know Rebecca Duda.
I do.
Why don't you tell us what you know about Rebecca
So
Duda?
actually, she was one of my son's teachers. Very smart woman. She's wrote a couple books, I believe, about the history of Dracut that are quite popular in town for those people that are interested in the history of Dracut. I think she's going to be a great candidate. I think she worked for the schools. I think she was let go. I think she's working in Lowell, if I remember correctly, as a teacher. And
Better pay in Lowell.
Yeah. And but I think she really cares about the kids. I know she would always go on the Washington D.C. trip with them. She was the Project 351 ambassador for the school. My son was picked as the leader, one of the leadership for Dracut. Each town, 351 towns and cities, select one person from the 8th grade. So Mrs. Duda selected my son, and I was
Good
able
start
to.
for him.
Yeah, so it was really an eye-opening event. We got to meet Bill Belichick, a bunch of the Patriots. So, but she's really involved with the children, and she's going to be, I think, a great pick for the school committee.
So that's going to be a great race to watch. And that's going to pull some people out. And it's going to pull people out that normally don't come out because the races for school committee are usually uncontested.
Right.
So this is going to be a good election. And that spillover could affect the Board of Selectmen, which we'll get into in future shows. But I wanted to just circle back as the press person for Joe Biden said, I want to circle back. So I'm going to circle back to to Betsy Murphy for a minute. One of Betsy Murphy's things that she's involved in for the next 3 weeks before she leaves town is she's taken on helping with the establishment of a forum for, it's called Town Meeting 101. And she's going to be part of a group that's putting together a program for those that don't know what town meeting's all about and how to operate when you go to town meeting. And that's going to be held at the high school auditorium on March 24th. And there's going to be the town clerk's involved. There's a real true moderator from another town. He's involved. Frangia Moore, he was the business manager here. He's going to be involved acting as the manager, as the moderator for that particular town meeting. So it's going to be a great thing to go to. So we urge you, and we will be promoting it. We've already have on our website. John Hall is on here, and we have Sue McHale. We have Lisa watching, and Linda and Mike are watching. We got a bunch of people, as I said earlier. But that's the school committee race. We do have a race for library trustee. You know what library trustee does?
They entrusted with the library.
They have the keys to the door.
What do they do?
I don't know.
They must, administer, I think, policy or something for the
Yeah,
library.
policy for the
think that
library.
They're probably the chairman of the board that takes creates the agenda
Right.
for your library.
And manages what goes on over there. Well, there's 3 candidates for him, and I think that 2 of the candidates are incumbents. Gretchen Mayall I believe she's an incumbent, and James Nolan is an incumbent, and there is a challenge, and there's 2 seats there, and that's Brian Flaherty. Brian Flaherty's been involved in social media stuff. He's a school teacher. I believe he's a school teacher at Central Catholic, so he's also a formidable candidate there. The Dracut Water Supply District has a commissioner that's up for re-election this year, and he is unopposed, Billy Z. Zielinski. Great guy, very politically involved in the town for many, many years, less now as he's getting a little bit more seasoned, John. Notice how I said that, seasoned, because when we get our
He's
age,
an old buck
it's
like us.
seasoned. But he's the chairman of the board down there at the Water Supply District, and he will be re-elected, I'm sure, hands down. There's not going to be a write-in candidate that's going to beat him there. And then we talked earlier about the moderator, for which I'm running for myself. So we'll be talking more about that in the weeks to come, and we're going to be going to weekly shows beginning next week, and we'll have plenty to talk about. But Gordy has been working on a report that the town had kind of shelved, and Joe DeRocco has a lot to do with that. So we're going to segue into that, and let's get into that right now, Gordy. So
All right,
tell us what you got today.
Yeah, just to give the viewers that haven't watched this or haven't been following the show the past few weeks, what this is about is a few years ago, Dracut got involved with MRI. It's Municipal Resources Incorporated is the name of the company. So what they do is basically they're a consultant. They come in and take a look at different departments within a town, and they'll do surveys, and they just figure out what the problems are, and then they report them back to the selectman or to the mayor, whoever that may be. And so if you remember back, we had a problem with our police department a few years ago. So they were called in to do audit of the police department, if you will. So they provided that report, and they said, the selectmen said, boy, this is good. We should do this with all our departments, the DPW, with the fire department. So why don't we do that with all of these? So they actually did one for the fire department, and it wasn't really made public. They talked about it in a selectmen's meeting, and it was kind of shuffled under the rug and said, there's nothing to see here. We're a little upset that you posted these comments, which we're going to probably show in an upcoming episode. But what I did for this segment is I did overall view of the survey results that happened. So there's 30 firefighters, and then I think altogether there's 47 people in the fire department. So they were asked about 50 questions, approximately 50 questions of different areas in the fire department. So Nate, if you can bring up my screen, these are the results.
Gordy, before we get into that, I understand we have a caller.
Oh, we do, okay.
So I don't know if it's into this, and I don't want to take away from your particular report. So we have a caller. Do we know who it is? Hello?
Hi, John. John, it's George Dristolaris.
George Dristolaris, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Hi, John. Hi, John, and hi, Gordy.
Hi.
George, you look marvelous. Saw you last night. Sucked down a cup of coffee with you quick. You're lucky to have that bride of yours, buddy.
I did pretty good. Hey,
Yeah,
John.
you did mighty well.
You did well.
Can I call to put in a plug?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
This is a DATV sports event on Saturday night at 6 o'clock at Dracut High School. Dracut High School Middies will play Bishop Fenwick at 6 o'clock. And also joining me to do play-by-play, and I will handle color, which is probably the better place for me, will be Mark Nichols. I don't know if you guys know Mark. Mark is an experienced play-by-play guy, so we should give you a great broadcast. Sorry to interrupt, John and Gordy and John. I just wanted to get the plug in, and I'll talk to you guys. I'll talk to you later.
No, that's great, Gordy. I mean, great. That's great, George. We're happy to hear that. I'm glad you did call, because I remember you mentioning that something was going on Saturday. And by the way, I watched some of your broadcasts the other night. I thought you did a great job, because you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but the thing is, I just talk too much, and it was just me talking. And I think I need somebody to call the play, and I can describe it. As you know, I'm kind of up on what they're doing. So.
Yeah, not kind of. You are a lifelong football aficionado, a coach at Bishop Girton, and coached many, many years at different levels. So you're very good.
And don't forget a player in college too.
And a player in college. That's right. We can't take that away from you either. George, thanks for calling in. Say hello to your lovely wife too.
Well, she's watching in the conference room. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Bye, George.
Bye. Say hi to Tammy.
All right. Hi, Tammy.
Tammy, you're the best.
All right. So, Gordy, take it away. Go back to your report now.
I just wanted to provide the folks that we didn't get a chance to see this. The taxpayers never got a chance to see what actually was in the report. The selectmen talked about it briefly, and it was kind of shoveled under the rug with a lot of things that happens in the town, i.e. the old town hall that we're doing nothing with, by the way.
Right. We're going to get into that too.
We're going to get into that as well.
Another time.
But just from a high level, the highest scoring question, these were ranked from 1 to 5. So the highest ranking question was 4.3, and that was if they're proud or not to be a member of the fire department. So that was the highest.
The highest could be 5.
Yes, the highest was 5.
Okay.
And the lowest was a 1. So, and then the lowest scoring question was 1.7, which is only a 34% grade, if you will, if you were in high school. And the average score across the whole survey was 2.94, which is 58.8%.
Ooh.
And then there's what's called
3 out of 5. It's fair.
But if you look at it from a T-score, what a T-score is, it basically puts everything on a curve, on a bell curve. So a 50 is an average score across all fire departments. A 50 would be the average. So Dracut only scored 44.4, which is 17% below
what the normal would be.
Below average. So I just handpicked a couple questions, survey questions that we can show you.
Because we can do that.
Yes, we can do that. So this was the highest scoring question. I'm proud to be a member of the fire department. You can see the bars on the left. I know it's hard to read on the bottom, but the bars on the left are strongly agree. The next one is agree. The middle one is neutral. The fourth one is disagree, and the far right is strongly disagree. So you can see here, everyone's proud to be a member of the fire department.
Well, wait a minute. Let's just talk about that for a second. That is mainly that they're proud to be firefighters.
Correct.
And they're proud to do what they do and happy to be doing what they're doing.
right.
Go ahead.
So,
Very good.
So I'm doing the positive ones first, and then we're going to look
That's
at
right.
some neutral ones, and then we're going to look at some negative ones.
Okay.
Just trying to be equal and fair.
That's right.
So this next one was I received adequate training to perform my job. So most people thought that they received a decent amount of training. So you can see most of those were either neutral or higher. There were some disagreements to that, but for the most part, that was positive. And then expectation for performances are made clear to all employees. Again, this was kind of a middle of the road thing, but this was one of the positive ones. There wasn't a lot of positives, to be honest, but these three were the top three scoring answers. So then it goes down to, we got kind of the middle of the road answers. So these were, the facility where I work provides a clean and safe environment. So you can see here, it was almost level across the board. The highest scoring was 13, which were disagreed.
And we got to be fair about this, okay? Because this was done, this report was done when they were still in the old fire station
correct.
on Lakeview Ave and have since moved. By the way, that Lakeview Ave fire station was proposed by and pushed by a person that wasn't on the Board of Selectmen. Who was that person? Who was that person?
Phil?
Phil Thibault. Phil Thibault was the one that was the catalyst behind pushing that. In fact, they wanted to put it next to the funeral home on Lakeview, and then they did a land swap, and we just kept talking about it, and he kept talking about it. He's on the permanent building committee, so he has a forum, right? But go ahead.
So back to this report. So the next one was I received support and encouragement from my department that I need to be successful. Again, they didn't seem to get a lot of positive feedback, and I'm going to show you what these. You have to kind of know what the breakdown is here. There's 30 of these are firefighters, and the rest are more of a management position.
Type,
so you'll see most of the management answering positively, and most of the firefighters are answering negatively.
Yeah.
So here's one of the ones we're starting to see now we're going into the bad reports. Department employees share a common understanding of current goals and vision. So there's no clear goals and visions in the department. Department is well managed. Again, there you can see to the right are agree and are disagree and strongly disagree. So you can see there they don't think it's a well managed organization. There's a high level of mutual respect across all ranks within the department. Again, the two bars to the right are obvious that they don't agree with that statement. The discipline for policy and rule violations are administered in a fair, consistent manner. Again, most people disagreed with that statement. And this is the worst, this is the one that scored the least. The department is keeping up with technological advances. So you can see there, no one strongly agreed with that statement, and only 2 people agreed. So technology obviously needs to be improved in the fire department. So, but I guess the whole point of this report was to show that, this wasn't a very good report that came out, and it didn't seem like anything was done, at least at a selectman's level publicly, that was displayed about the fire department. And we'd like to get some feedback from some of the firefighters if they'll provide that to us to see if this has improved at all in the last couple of years.
Right. So we have had some outreach to certain individuals in the fire department, and we're working on getting somebody to come in and talk about this, and we will visit this more extensively, and we'll get into some of the comments that were made, the very, very important comments that were made, and we'll really get into it. But I wanted to just make one comment right here to be very clear. The one person who was most affected by this report and what has happened to him over the last few years, Justin George, continues to be a no comment to me on this information. So I want to make sure that it's out there that this guy, who is most aggrieved by most of the stuff that you're going to hear about in the future, is still not making a comment. John, you had a comment?
I'm not a Dracuteer.
Right.
So let me ask, Gordy, if you call the fire department that your house is on fire, are you happy with the service you receive?
I've seen them in my neighborhood. I think they respond very quickly. I think they're all great guys from what I know, the ones that I personally know. I don't think they're very happy with the management.
Doesn't make no difference about that, but effectively they put fires out.
Yes.
Okay, John, if there's a fire at your house or next to a neighbor's house, Are you happy with the service?
I'm extremely happy with the way the
So-
men and women of our department operate.
Do they do medical emergencies?
They do.
Yes.
Are they your town
do.
ambulance, or you have Trinity?
No, they don't have town ambulance.
They're usually the first
We should have a
responders,
town
though.
ambulance, but they are first
they'll
responders.
No,
provide-
I think that having a private ambulance is better, but,
Yeah.
so you don't have the Dracut Cellar Savers?
The what? No.
Cellar Savers. See,
No.
Cellar Savers, there is a mindset out there of fire departments, and it comes down from the chief, and it's, shh. You want a new house, or you don't?
Yeah.
Your house is on fire. Do you want a new house, or you don't?
Yeah.
Everybody wants a new house. So you know what? We're Cellar Savers.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're not.
You don't have that in Dracut.
Yeah.
So you can count your, I mean, those guys might not be getting along. Now, the cleanliness part of it, that could be a union issue. Like, it's not my job
Right.
to wash the floor in here. The place is immaculate, okay? You can eat
Well,
off
it
the
was more
floor.
than
in
that,
here.
John, and you didn't see the report. It's more than that. Safety issues. It was an old building, but we'll have to get into
But if
that.
I can't fix,
Anti-Semitic comments from
Yeah.
some of the management.
Yep.
if I can't fix the truck myself, if I'm not allowed to touch something,
Yep.
the union said, you can't touch that. You're not qualified. You don't have any training to touch that.
Yep.
So,
But you'll see in the future shows where we're going to
Okay.
go with this. Okay.
Listening to you. Sorry, I'll
So
stop
I
talking.
wanted to. We're going to get more into this heavily in the next few weeks, but I wanted to give you some breaking news that I just got over my phone. That about an hour and a half ago, the Russian ambassador to the United States of America was recalled from the United States because President Biden had made a comment calling Putin a killer. So, and the person who sent me this text said to me that he also sent me some information to back it up and what have you, and I'll read it when I get home. So his comment was, "We're back to October of 1962."
Oh, boy.
That's not a good sign. So, folks, we're down to a minute, and I hope that that's something that can be calmed down pretty quickly, but that's breaking news, folks, and you're hearing it here, right here on Dracut Access Television. You know, we're in rough shape if that's where we're going, if we're going to have a problem with Russia. So, cancel culture. Real quick, what's your opinion of cancel culture? Good, bad,
It's
different?
getting out of control. My wife is a big fan of the Bachelor show. They had the finale last night. He broke up with his girlfriend because 2 years ago she went to some Southern style party where she dressed up as, back in the 1800s, 1700s, where they held slaves. So he really took offense to that. I think you got to put that in context. I think it was more of a party thing than, celebrating that people own slaves.
what about WAP? Did anybody look up WAP? I just invite everybody out there in TV land, look up W.A.P. See what it means, and you go, I can't believe they put that on television.
Yes, I know. I really.
know, I don't
you're talking
expect
about
you know what
Cardi- You're talking about Cardi B.
I'm talking about the Grammys. I could
the
not
Grammys.
believe WAP was on. I never knew what WAP was. I looked it
Yep.
up. I'm like, wow,
Yes,
that should not have been on.
John. Thanks for being here tonight with us.
John, thanks for doing
We
this.
gotta close
Gordy,
out
thanks
the
for
show.
doing this.
Well, thank you. We'll have you
John.
again soon.
Gordy, I guess you're going to take us. You're going to sing a song now.
He's going to do a
sing
tap
a
dance
song.
on the way out the door here. So, folks, thanks again for joining us tonight. And Gordy, take it away.
Folks, as always, we thank you for watching. We're always going to keep you up to date with what's happening in Dracut. And you remember, when it's Wednesday night and it's 7 o'clock, it's What's Happening Dracut. Good night, Dracut.
Good night, Dracut.